Any attempt to analyze Brazilian society with its stark contrasts and paradoxes begins with the state of Bahia and the city of Salvador. The fundamental modes of Brazilian culture, its forms of perception, its exchanges, manners, and values begin there. Its many different elements and forms are both greatly diversified and, at the same time, clustered and joined. It is there that the culture of Brazil imperceptibly emanated and created for itself forms and processes that belong to a certain order. To analyze that experience, we must examine cultural factors, not by arranging abstracted entities, but by taking into account the specific cultural forms by means of which Brazilians communicate, perpetuate, and develop their attitudes towards life.
We have to look at this historically, starting back at the transatlantic slave trade. The numbers of Africans and their descendants who were brought into Brazil, 42% of the Africans brought out of Africa, and we're talking about 11 million now, went to Brazil, and about 4% came to the United States. So we're looking at the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. Fast forward to contemporary times. Brazil now has a population of about 211 million people. 50% of those now identify themselves as people of color.
Salvador, also known as Salvador da Bahia, is the capital of the Brazilian state of Bahia, with little over 2.9 million people. It is the largest city in the northeast region of Brazil and the third largest city in the country, after São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Founded by the Portuguese in 1549 as the first capital of Brazil, Salvador is one of the oldest colonial cities in the Americas.
My mother's family came from two different countries in Europe, Italy and Poland. Okay, the father of my mother, my grandfather, his mother came from Italy, so it's named Saboia. It's a small city between France and Italy. Okay, and the other side, some part of my family came from Poland. Okay, but my father's family, the name Souza is a Brazilian name. I do not have the certain, but I think that it came from slavery. You know, that families that came from Africa, and this name became to grow. When you have these names are important for us, because with the name you know that if the family came from the black side of Brazil or from the white side of Brazil. In my case is what happened. My father's family came from the black side, the black vein of Brazil, and my mother's family came from the white.
The city represents a fine example of Portuguese urbanism from the middle of the 16th century, with its higher administrative town and its lower commercial town, and a large portion of the city has retained the old character of its streets and colourful houses. Since 1992, many buildings have been subject to a nearly $100 million restoration that has led to the rebuilding of hundreds of buildings' facades.
So, Pelourinho is the old city, and we know Salvador started there. But I think it's for Baianos, for us, we don't know about the very important East Pelourinho, because we started there. A lot of people, a lot of slaves lived there about 300 or 500 ago. And the city grew up around the Pelourinho, but if you went there, if you will go there, you will feel it's a beautiful place.
I think the people in my land have many qualities, but the best one is hospitality. Anyone who comes to Bahia would not be misjudged. People here in Bahia will treat very well anyone who comes here. Will receive and talk and be interested in what people have to say and involve and feel. So if you come to a country which doesn't have the same kind of hospitality, people will just say what is just the necessary to interact. Not here. Here people will try to interact and be interested in what you have to say and try to help you in any way that you need and try to make you feel comfortable here. This I think it's the most good quality about people in Bahia.
The weather in Salvador area, we have only one station, we have only one season, only summer. I think we have only summer. During the whole year. Summer. Sometimes it rain a little, but nothing for we get worried. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have nothing that comes to destroy anything here in the city. We don't have storms. All that can happen is just a little bit of water and all this. It's good because during the whole year, if you want, you can go to the beach. You can do you can do always the same thing in the weekend if you want.
In Salvador, religion is a major contact point between Portuguese and African influences. Historically, it was the first seat of the archdiocese in colonial Brazil, with the first bishop, Pero Fernandes Sardina, arriving in 1552. The Jesuits also arrived in the 16th century and worked to convert the indigenous peoples of the region to Roman Catholicism. Many religious orders came to the city following its foundation: Franciscans, Benedictines, and Carmelites. In the last 20 years, Brazil has become heavily influenced by North American-style Pentecostalism. Also, the Nossa Senhora do Rosário and São Beneditino brotherhoods were composed of black men.
So there is this knowledge of African spiritual traditions within a certain community of African Americans in the United States. As more and more African Americans travel to Brazil, they're learning the Brazilian system, or even the existence of the Brazilian system. The system that has been traditionally known in the United States is a system that both comes out of Cuba, and for some people in, say, the Oyotunji village in South Carolina, pure or so-called pure African tradition. So there is this knowledge base among African Americans. And over the 3 decades that I've been going to Brazil, I've seen more African Americans become familiar with African spiritual traditions in Brazil, and even go as far as becoming initiated into the practices themselves.
The early slaves were forced to convert to Roman Catholicism, but their original religion, Yoruba, was combined with Roman Catholicism to make the syncretic religion known as Candomblé, which has survived in spite of prohibitions and persecutions. Enslaved Africans managed to preserve their religion by attributing the names and characteristics of their Yoruba deities to Catholic saints with similar qualities. Still today, all Candomblé sessions are conducted in Yoruba, not Portuguese. The local cuisine, spicy and based on seafood, shrimp and fish, strongly relies on typically African ingredients and techniques, and is much appreciated through Brazil and internationally. Traditional dishes include caruru, vatapá, acarajé, bobo de camarão, moqueca, baiana, and abarrá. Some of these dishes, like acarajé and abarrá, are also used as offerings in candomblé rituals.
Yes, I really like comidas baiana. I am from Bahia, but some people think that we eat every day comida baiana. It's not the case. But generally on Friday, here there is a tradition here in Salvador that the restaurants during the Friday they sell comidas baiana. I really like it.
Comida baiana is something that I really love. It's the kind of food that I love the most, and comida baiana is 100% originated from Africa, since the discovering time of our country, and it's something that fortunately was preserved until today. And for sure, some of my favorite dishes are from comida baiana, and I can name many of them: feijoada, acarajé, caruru, vatapá. So if I have to live only eating comida baiana, I will be really happy.
Samba is the Brazilian music and dance style with roots in Africa via the West African slave trade and African religious traditions of Angola and the Congo. Although there are various forms of samba in Brazil, in the form of various popular rhythms and regional dances, samba as a musical expression originated through the samba de roda of Bahia. The samba de roda, or dance circle, became a UNESCO Heritage of Humanity in 2005 and is the main route of the samba carioca.
Brazilian music. Brazilian music was built in the history of Brazil, and we can say that Brazilian music was built through the mixed between three kinds of influence. The first one was African influence. And the influence of African music was very strong because the slavery, because the presence of millions of people who were brought from Africa to America. And these people made a specific kind of music based in drums, based in sense of collectivity, the collective. And these slavers, they sung while walking. That were the work songs, famous and very known kind of music, the work songs. It was made when the slaves were working. But when the slaves weren't working, they sung even more. Through the parties, through the meetings, the reunions they made a lot of reunions. And these meetings were very important.
The Bahia state has a characteristic, the predominance of slavery work, of slavery, African people slavery here. So we were a state, especially Salvador and Recôncavo Baiano, with a big amount of slaveries. And these slaveries from different parts of Africa with different cultures, and these people influenced the Bahia culture. So here we have some particularities comparing with other countries in Brazil, like São Paulo or the south of Brazil. So this influence is very, very, very strong in Bahia. And this influence was mixed with the indigenous influence and the European influence. So we have a mix of culture with the predominance of the African culture. This culture is the only city in the Brazil you can see women wearing African dresses, or men wearing African indumentaries, clothes from like in Africa. So, and we have a big part of the population is black people. So is a city with a very, very African influence. It's different in other parts in Brazil, where people was influenced by European people, Japanese people, or by indigenous people, like the north of Brazil. So in the Bahia, we have these characteristics, this influence, this change the culture here, and makes the Bahia people, different from other peoples in Brazil. So I believe that this influence changed the Bahia culture.
The city is served by many hotels and quaint pousadas, with tourist attractions such as Farol de Barra. It has an artistic area known as Rio Vermelho, and many protected green areas such as Jardim dos Namorados Park, Costa Azul Park, and Campo Grande Park.
With tourism, we have a lot of jobs. A lot of people can work, can do a lot of things because tourism. And I think the most important thing, because tourism is important to put the people together, to do many things, to visit, to enjoy our city, because we have a lot of tourists, but we enjoy our city like a tourist too, because for us, Salvador is very beautiful, is amazing, and I can have words to feel, to express my feel about Salvador, because I don't know, it's like an incredible city.
As we know, we have a big coast here. So water sports are the ones that are very practiced here. And I can give you some examples of this kind of sports. We have stand-up paddle, we have spearfishing, we have scuba diving, kite surfing, windsurfing, surfing, and bodyboarding. So when we try to figure out why people practice these kind of sports, they are mainly related to the life of quality that we have and what the people think that life equality is the best for them. So having a big coast and a lot of water here and beautiful beaches, I think that these kind of sports they are really popular too. And in my case, surf, spearfishing, and bodyboarding are the three sports that I most like.